Hey everyone, this is John McMath from the Sciatic Pain Terminator, and welcome to our new studio. Tonight we're hosting a special event for the National Association of Professional Women. We're going to have a packed house. I wanted to give you a little bit of a sneak preview of the studio before this evening. Now, as you guys probably know, as I've had sciatica for 4 years and it's been a long and hard battle, so we've had to build the studio for a couple reasons. One, quite frankly, out of necessity. I have been bedridden until a couple, 3 weeks ago, and everything you see in here that I'm going to show you, my fiance Jennifer, I'm on crutches and I'm telling her kind of, hey, do this, do that. Been laying on my bed, I'm on my side watching videos, and people like Brendan Burchard, Mike Cannings, and Mike at EOS, thank you guys so much for giving me the knowledge and also the inspiration to help me conceive and do this, because without you guys and what you've done and helped, this wouldn't be possible. The other thing too is what I learned as we started doing a studio and testing is we learned that this is the most effective, efficient way to get the information to help people get out of pain. Is if you have a studio, of course we still go do practical shots, but when you have a studio, have a teleprompter, all this great equipment, you can come out here and do it very quickly, effectively, get it online and get people some help. So that was the other reason that we continued and kind of went all the way with this thing. And it's my pleasure to show you this and show you how we make all these great things happen. So first off, if we look at the studio in general, I like to talk about the wiring first. Now, the question I always get about people is how do you wire it and the lighting, etc. Well, first off, the way I've done this is every single light in the studio is off of this one deal. Now I also wired it where the garage door opener was on the same thing, because again, if people are trying to get into your place, that doesn't happen because the electricity is cut off. Of course, we can open the door manually if we need to. You want to run a very high quality cable as your main cable because you're running these lights. Now people ask, well shoot, how can you run all of that off of one cord? Well, these fluorescent bulbs burn about 1/4 of the electricity as normal consumer bulbs, okay? The other thing you want to pay attention to on the wiring is notice how we've taped wires down or run them underneath. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is there's some safety issues. Two, we have some pretty prominent folks that are going to be in here shooting. And when they come in here, we want them to know that, this is very serious and very professional. You'll notice on the lights a couple things. You'll know that some are taped and some are not. These two lights here, which are the lights that blow up the green screen or the background, they also are horizontal as well as vertical. You can turn them on or off. There's 4 lights in each of these. They're going to be 5 to 7 feet out, so they're going to stay put. That's why they're wired like that. And then the 3 other lights that you have is you have what's called a key light, which is this one here. And again, these go up, down, swivel, anything you want. And then you have what's called the fill light, which is here. And what that does is that that fills in any of the shadows that you might have. And then you have what's called a hair light. Now, you'll notice that these 3 lights are not taped down. Why is that? Well, if they're standing, if they're sitting, if you're doing a photo shoot, if you're doing a video, if you're waist up, if you're doing a TV show, like for example, Bill Phillips is a perfect example of a real set where you got a real desk and everything. Depending on what you're trying to do is where you want to move the lights. Now, something additional that I did that's really neat is you'll see that bar up on top of the garage door opener with a little deal at the end, a little nut or bolt. Well, these lights, if you'll see what we've really done, it's kind of a trick that we have, is this is how easy it is. If I need an extra light or do something, all I do is I just undo this, put it up there. I can move it anywhere along those to get any extra hair light that you need. Now, people always ask bulbs, okay? What most people try and do is they try and go to the hardware store and try and figure that out. And what you want to really understand is you don't want to buy bulbs from consumer sources. You want to buy them from sources that are more from folks like Market EOS that sells these kinds of things. The reason why is you have a daylight, an indoor and outdoor Kelvin, 3200 and 5600. And If you try and consumer bulb it, you're never going to get the kelvins exactly the same because none of them are the same. And even if you have the best lights, the best camera, the best everything, the best software, you're just not going to get the quality of production. These are all daylight Kelvin with filters in the front to soften it out. They're called soft boxes. So again, like I said earlier, all these run off of one. They burn 1/4 of the electricity as consumer bulbs. And also the other thing too is heat. These produce very little heat, and a lot of complaints, especially if you're wearing makeup, I mean, a lot of times you see people come out studio, they're just drenched. This with the fluorescent, not a problem. So that's the real short version on the lighting. There's other videos that I have about the ratios, like what you're trying to do. We cover all that in different videos. Now, the next thing is the screen, the green screen. You want to get again, you can go to a fabric store and try and get a green screen. The issue with that is typically you see through it and it doesn't key well. So you want to get a good quality green screen. Again, you can get those from market at EOS. Now, you see we have a 10 by 20 and we do this with photo shoots. We can put a virtual set, anything we want to do, we can do with it. Now, a couple of additional things on the green screen. First off, you always want to have an extra, this is a 5 by 7 footer. There's a couple reasons for that. One of the photos that Jen did is she's actually standing on this here and we put her in a different picture. Well, if you don't have the green screen over the top of this draped, how can you key it separately? Okay, that's one reason. The other thing is if you're trying to do a virtual set, like a news set where you're trying to key in, say, a desk, well, again, you want to put this over the top of the desk because if the subject happens to put their hands on the table, again, without the green screen there, you can't key it. So there's a lot of different reasons to have it. Plus you can unfold it, put it on the wall. Just nice to have handy for you. Now, the other really cool thing that we've found out is this flex screen here. Now, this is a flex screen that blows, it just pops out, it's taut, and on the other side it's blue, in case your subject is wearing green, and believe it or not, that all folds in this bag. The entire thing folds up in this bag. Now, getting back to green and blue screen, why is it green or blue? Can you use any color? And in theory, yes you can. The reason why green is the color that's used is because that is the furthest away from your skin tone and blue being second. So that's why you have green and blue. So now, I'm sure the entire video you've been wondering what the heck this is and haven't paid attention in any of it. So if you haven't, you can rewind it. But this is called a chroma key suit. Now, to give you a little sneak peek, we're going to be filming a short sci-fi movie later this year about sciatica and the battles of it, and we're going to use this is how you become invisible and do the different effects. Also, you can buy the limbs separately, a leg or an arm. So again, I'm not a carnage kind of movie guy, but Saving Private Ryan is probably the best example of something like that. When a limb gets blown off, the subject, the actor, they're wearing a limb that goes down to here. And then of course in the post-editing they key it out. Forrest Gump, same deal. You key that out in post-production. So that's what this thing is used for. Now, believe it or not, this entire studio fits in these two bottom bags. And I'm going to give you a quick demo. When you look at it, you're like, how can that be? I'm going to give you a quick demo of how this is. So this is one of the lights. So all you have to do to break this down is take your light out. And again, this bag here, this is just for lights. So you definitely want a bag for that because these things are about 15 bucks a piece. So then this comes out like this, and then of course here, and then I think you can figure out that this breaks down, and it breaks down to about nothing and all fits in that bag. So that is a really neat deal. So for example, if we're going to a practical location, you very seldom need more than 2 or 3 lights, or for sure 3, but usually just 2. you very seldom need. So all we do is we just pack these lights up in the little bag, and then we just go to our practical location and do the shoot, and you know, set up, and then we do the shoot and then pack up and leave. And literally within 5 minutes you have the entire lighting system set up and ready to go. So that's it. That's how that works. And speaking of bags, you want to have bags for everything, because whether it's cameras, whether it's lights, whether it's your equipment, it's going to get scuffed, it's going to get screwed up. And you know, you spend a lot of money to figure this out, or to buy this stuff, and you just don't want it to get dinged up. Now another question I get is, can you guerrilla tactic this? Well, if money is really, really, really tight, the answer is yes. But what I have found through many hours of learning how all this works is you could guerrilla it, but you're just not going to get the quality. And this stuff, quite frankly, is the price of this has gotten so cheap that you might as well spend a little extra money, have the portability, have the professionalism, and know that you're going to have great lighting each and every time. Because if you guerrilla tactic it, it doesn't matter how good your camera is, how good anything is, or how good your software is, it's just not going to be as good for you. So now that we've gotten the lighting, the wiring, a little bit about the green screen, and then the bags, let's get to what I like is the teleprompting and that end of it. So since we're having this meeting here tonight, this gathering, I took everything down for tonight. But if you see up there, you see we took a picture of my MacBook with the teleprompter set up. And how that works is very simple. We take this here and put it on the tripod, and then the camera mounts on there so it's facing this way. And then the camera mounts on the back of this, and then you can see you're looking into the camera, and you can see here it just reflects it, and you just read it. And again, in the software program, you can control the speed of it, anything you want to do. You can set that all up in the program. It's very easy, both Mac and PC. And typically when we're doing these kinds of things, Jen's with me or I'm with her. However, if you are by yourself, and especially on a waist up shot, you have a remote where if it's starting to outrun you or you need to speed it up, you can speed up the teleprompter. And again, always as a bag. Now again, believe it or not, the whole teleprompter goes into this case here, and it's like a briefcase with a lock. So again, if we need to go to Vegas today, we could take 3 lights in that top bag here, take our teleprompter there, our camera and everything, green screen. We can carry it on. We don't even have to check any of this stuff in. Just completely amazing. Now when we're shooting, this table comes over here and the teleprompter's hooked up. Getting the camera super briefly, and again I got to thank Mike Cannings for this one. The camera that this is being shot on is a Canon Vixia, which for the money is just amazing. Need more information on that, go to mikecannings.com, and he has a great search feature where you can type in Canon, and he has a great article on that. Also these Kodak cameras, again thank you Mike, same deal, type in Kodak, he gives you the complete review, ridiculous amount of quality, especially for the money. Now, before I forget on this, let's talk about sound for a second. I'm using a wireless mic right now. Tonight I won't because of the amount of people, and then I'm going to have it for show and tell. Again, you can buy cheap or you can be a little more expensive, and I went the cheaper route and the sound showed it. This is a Sony system and it's unbelievable, the sound quality. And really, if you really care about your productions, you want to get good wireless mics. And I think it's like $450. It's a little bit more than the others, but the quality is just so much better. So definitely want to have that. Now, what we do is we have the camera, and I just set this up here as just a demo. This happens to be one of the Kodaks that we use for our B-roll. With an HDMI input to this screen here. So what's super cool about that is if Jen and I are shooting something, we can see exactly what's going on in real time. What's even better than that is as soon as we're done shooting, you know how most the cameras have that little bitty screen on it? Well, all we have to do is immediately we can watch what we shot. We hook the audio to the audio output on the camera, so we're hearing the real sound, not just, you know, the speaker that's inside the camera. So right away, we know if the shot is good or if it needs to be redone from a sound perspective and a huge TV perspective. You can get these anywhere 1920 inch for just over $100. Definitely a really good investment. If money on cameras is super duper tight, I think we all know that flip cam, Cisco discontinued that line. You can go to Costco, I saw one last week for 79 bucks. You can get the flip cam with the stand. They're kind of getting rid of them. Quite frankly, and Mike Hennings is right, these little Kodaks, this ZI-8 is 4 times better the quality. And I mean, on Amazon, these are like 120 bucks. You can get them refurbed for like 75. And it shoots up to 1080p, so you can get super duper high quality. Works really good on a tripod. This camera here is very similar, except it's waterproof. So, you know, I do a lot of water skiing and things like that, so this is good for 10 feet. Again, shoots in 1080p underwater, and it comes with these little stands that you can do. I mean, you can put it in really interesting places, and you know, you can put a memory card in and the whole thing. So, and I think this is like $160, $170. You have an HD underwater camera. I mean, it's amazing how you know, cheap these things have gotten. Also, when we go on these shoots, you want, again, good bags. So for example, you see here there's compartments for all of our equipment and they're all over the place. And again, this is under $100, and it keeps everything separate, keeps it unscratched, it keeps it organized, because when you're out on sets and shooting things and things happen, especially you'll see I have all spare, I mean, in production, if you've done any production or been around it, if it can't happen, it will happen. So you want to have a lot of extra spares of everything around. So if you look in the background here, you'll notice the tube here, that's a white screen. That was when we were doing our Mac PC videos. Use that a little less often now because we will just put in a background on the chroma key. And then you'll notice there's a bag in the back, and that is an extra stand. So again, if I need to go somewhere and do a practical shoot, throw that bag in the car, which is a stand. This flip screen, this flip chroma key, which you can do horizontal or vertical, again, depending if they're standing or sitting. And then take a couple lights, pack them up, teleprompter if it needs to be prompted, pack it up. And in the back seat of any small car, you have an entire studio going. The tripods, obviously, any of them, they all fold up to about nothing. I mean, we have 3 different tripods that we have depending on what we're doing. Now in the back here, there's a boom. Now, what I mean by a boom or a crane, if you watch, say, Boardwalk Empire, there's a scene there, or typically at the end of most movies, or especially if it's a romantic where they're kissing or something, at the end of the movie you'll notice the camera will go up and over the top of them. Well, that's what this thing does, is it mounts the tripod, the camera's at the end of it, and not only does it look like it's escalating at a very smooth rate, it actually sweeps underneath and goes all around. So it really increases the production value. And again, we're talking a couple $100 for this. It takes less than 5 minutes to assemble, and it's really a neat thing that adds a ton of production value.
And I just got done with my photo shoot, modeling lingerie and dancewear for a company called TabooToys.com. They have the most amazing outfits for dancewear, clubwear, you know, whatever the case may be. I particularly like to talk about their dancewear, their classy, more dressy line of dancewear. For instance, one of the outfits I'm wearing right now is a very nice maroon dress. I accented it with a leopard bra underneath and some jewelry, some black and...
You know, when I was about 17, 18 years old, I had my first migraine, and I'll never forget it. I was up at a water ski tournament in Indiana, and it happened one night. It was that weekend of '95 where everybody died in Chicago. It was like 110 out. Well, we were out.
Again, thanks for watching. Any questions that you have on the studio, but more importantly, if you're in pain, please put them on the blog or email me personally. And here's to a pain-free lifestyle.